Hi, I'm Jilly G. Welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you my gluten-free bacon corn chowder. I've got all of my things ready here. So first up, this is about a pound or so of bacon. It's a half a package, but I'm just going to cut this up first into small pieces. And you might notice that I have two cutting boards here. One is for the raw meat and the other is for my vegetables. So once you get this all cut up, I'm going to turn on my big stock pot. About medium high, and then I'm just going to add the bacon to my pot. I'll bring you in closer and just break up the bacon so it's kind of in an even layer. And I have a plate here with paper towels and a slotted spoon to drain that after it's finished cooking. But while that's cooking, I'm going to cut up the rest of our ingredients here. I have a small handful of chives here from my garden. These will be for the garnish. I washed my knife too, by the way. So just cut these up. And I have a little dish here to put them in. Now that those are done, set those aside. I have a bowl here, and I'm going to start cutting up my other ingredients. I know the bacon's loud. Let me stir that. Put a lid on that so it won't be so loud. So I'm just going to cut up this onion here into smallish pieces. I might even just use half of it because it's kind of a big onion. And I'll probably just use half, but save the other half for something else. Now that our onion is done, just put it in this bowl here. Don't forget to check on your bacon. And that's almost finished. I've got 3 cloves of garlic here. You don't have to put garlic in if you don't want to. You don't even have to put an onion in if you don't want to. In fact, I think I'll just use 2 garlic. And I think our bacon is ready. And I'm going to turn my heat down to low. And I tend to have my bacon go a little bit longer because I'm going to add it into the soup. That way it doesn't get super soggy. But I'm actually going to cut up my celery before my garlic, so I can get my celery and my onions cooking in with the bacon grease. And just smallish pieces. So I'm going to start cooking my onion and celery in the bacon grease. I'm going to add in some salt and pepper. And let that cook down just a little bit. I'm going to add in my carrots next, or at least get them ready. And again, just bite-sized pieces. This is the perfect soup when you still have corn in season, although I just have 1 ear of corn. My other corn is frozen. The farm stand that I go to, you can get a baker's dozen of corn, and then you always have 1 left over. So this works pretty good. Or you could use all fresh corn, or all frozen corn, whatever. So carrots are done. I'm going to add these into the pot too. If you feel like you need to add a little oil, if the bacon grease isn't enough, you can add a little bit of olive oil or butter, whatever. And now I'm just going to cut up my garlic here. And now that this is cut up, just add this to your pot and just stir that around. And next up is potatoes. These are just little yellow potatoes. But if you were going to do bigger Yukon Gold potatoes, about 3 medium. This is going to be about the equivalent of that. And I just quarter these. Again, bite-sized pieces. If they're a little bit bigger, cut them smaller. You could do this with red potatoes if you wanted to, but the yellow potatoes are really good. I've done this with just russet brown potatoes, and it works really good, but the yellow potatoes I think are best. Get the corn over there. Last potato, I'm going to stir this up. And that's looking really good. Next up is the corn. I'm going to cut the ends off here. And then just cut the corn off the cob. And it goes all over everywhere. So get your corn, and we're going to put the corn in here now. And stir that around. I'm going to add in the rest of my salt and pepper. I'm also going to add in about a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. If you don't like cayenne pepper, you don't have to use it, but it's really not very much and it adds a nice extra little bit of flavor. I'm going to add in my frozen corn. So stir that in. It's about 2 cups of frozen corn, 2 to 3. And I don't mind if it's even frozen or thawed all the way. The extra liquid will be fine. I'm going to turn the heat back up to medium. I have 4 cups of chicken stock, 1½ cups of milk, and 1 cup of heavy cream. And stir this all together. I'm going to turn the heat up just a little bit more. Bring that up to a boil, and then I'll turn it down to a simmer, and you want all of the vegetables to be done, and it will get really thick. And while that's cooking, I'm going to show you my gluten-free saltine crackers in a food processor. You could do this by hand, but it just makes it easier with the food processor. First thing you want to do is preheat your oven to 350, and I have 2 cups of my gluten-free flour here. Just add this in. And I have about a ½ cup of extra that we'll use for rolling. And straight from the fridge. You want these to be cold. I have 2 tablespoons of butter cut up. And it's cut up into little teeny pieces just because we want this to still have biggish chunks of butter in there. But this way it doesn't have to mix so hard to get bigger chunks of butter mixed up. It's just easier. So add that in. I have 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and just sprinkle that in. I have some really coarse salt that we'll sprinkle on after we roll them out, so that's for a little bit later. And then I have 2 eggs here, and for now we'll just use 1. And just pulse this together. And you want it to look like breadcrumbs. I can hear my soup bubbling. So give this a good stir, and I'm going to turn the heat down to low. You can put the lid on. So now to our mixture here. I'm going to put this egg in with my milk and just give it a mix. If your flour mix has xanthan gum, don't put this egg in. Or you could. Save that for later. I'm going to turn this on to low and slowly add in our liquid. I'm going to take this second egg. That's for our egg wash. But get your little bit of flour and just sprinkle some on here, and then dump out your dough. Watch out for the blades here, but get all of it off of there. Get all of this out of here. And I just kind of bring it together. And it's okay if it absorbs this extra flour. And a little bit more flour. And I just flatten it out to begin with. And then just start rolling this out. And keep it moving. And if you notice that it kind of breaks apart a little bit, that's all right too. A little bit of flour. And just piece back any pieces that kind of come apart a little bit. A little more flour. And I just turn the whole parchment paper and I just feel it and make sure it's all about the same thickness. And it doesn't even have to be a perfect rectangle. And if you bake them up a little bit thicker, they won't be as crispy. So get a knife, and I'm just gonna cut these into squares. However big a piece as you want. And then just go the other direction. Move the paper if you need to. But I kind of trim off any raggedy edges that might burn a little bit. So I have 2 ungreased cookie sheets. And I'm just going to transfer these. I have a little spatula here. And just transfer these to your pan. And they're not the prettiest crackers you've ever seen. And they don't spread, so you can put them pretty close together. And come closer over here. Can even put our big raggedy ones on the ends here. And now that this tray is done, get your other tray. You can see that mine are not all the same size, and that's fine. You just call these rustic crackers. If you notice that they have a lot of flour, just brush that off. A little bit's all right. Make room for all of them. There we go. Clean up our mess a little bit. And take your other egg and give it a really good mix. Soup's doing good. And with our same fork, just dock every single one. Move on to your next one. If you notice any little pieces like that fall off, I just take those off so they don't burn. You could squish it back together. Now that you've got all of these docked, I feel like everything's a mess over here. I have just a little pastry brush. We're going to give these a little bit of an egg wash. And you don't need a whole lot. Now that all of your crackers are egg washed, we're going to stick them in the oven. Again at 350. I'll check them at about 25 minutes and see what we've got. And I'm going to check on my soup. I'm going to clean everything up and I'll show you what it looks like when it's all finished. I forgot to sprinkle my salt on my crackers. So just sprinkle a little bit of coarse salt on each one. There. No one will know. Now I'm going to clean up. So my crackers went for about 25 minutes or so, and we're just going to put these onto a cooling rack. My cooling rack might not be big enough. We'll find out. There's our long skinny ones. Pretty misshapen, but they look good. Is it exactly like a saltine cracker? No. But it's a really good gluten-free saltine cracker. So let's move these aside. Bring over our bowl and our plate, our garnish. Oh, I also have some cheese for garnish. And my bacon corn chowder is ready for the bacon. I'll bring it in closer and show you what it looks like. So just give this a good stir. Add in our bacon and mix that all together. Turn off your heat and bring our big pot over here. Bring it closer. Get rid of our slotted spoon. And I have a ladle. Add some cheese and a little bit of our chives. Looks really good. You don't need to have a plate for your crackers, but they're already cooled off, so just get some on here. Let's give this a bite. It's really hot. It's really good. Take your little cracker. This soup is really thick for kind of dipping. We'll just put some on here. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, let me know, and we'll see you on the next one.